you taking me?
To the real world. You should see it sometime.
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're scouring the wasteland and searching for answers to the biggest questions we have after Season 1 of Amazon's Fallout series ended. We'll be questioning open plot threads, plot points, and character revelations that were never addressed, but we hope will get answers in Season 2. Naturally, since we'll be discussing major plot points from the series, a massive spoiler warning is in effect.
Why?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Wilzig.
Listen, you need to go home, miss. Vault dwellers are an endangered species here. You come from a world of rules, of laws. This place is indifferent to all of that.
The man who ignited a wasteland-wide manhunt and set all three of our protagonists on a collision course, Wilzig is a fascinating character we end up learning very little about. The most important aspect about him is clearly his research, which makes Moldaver's cold fusion plans a reality, and is something so dangerous he goes to great lengths to keep it hidden from the rest of the Enclave. The biggest questions these events raise are how did he come into possession of the cold fusion plans, and in turn, manage to get in touch with Moldaver.
Listen, I don't know who you are or how you know the things that you do, but you are going to get across that wasteland.
Also, if the Enclave is so desperate to get Wilzig and his research back, then who initiated the manhunt and put a bounty on the scientist's head? This would seemingly be something very important to the Enclave that they would want to keep in-house, so why risk it falling into the hands of another wasteland faction?
You can change the future if you can bring me to Moldaver.
The state of the Enclave.
It is believed that a denizen of the Enclave has escaped.
The Enclave's real?
The last time we saw the Enclave at full strength was in Fallout 2, before the Vault Dweller essentially wiped them off the map. Despite a few stragglers, the faction was believed to be all but eradicated. However, in the Fallout series, not only are they still operational, but they're also still conducting seemingly inhumane experiments. This raises questions about just how widespread the organization really was, or if this is some kind of splinter group unaffected by the events of Fallout 2. Additionally, what kind of experiments are they conducting now? Could they be related somehow to the brief shot we saw of what is potentially a super mutant on a gurney? Wilzig also somehow has a surprising amount of knowledge about the vaults right down to their inner workings and residents, and has somehow managed to get Moldaver's cold fusion plans despite Vault Tech supposedly locking them down.
I think I know enough to know you need to go home.
The Ghoul Medicine.
Return it. Maybe. Hey, you don't have to have any vials, do you?
New to the Fallout lore is what appears to be a medicine to curb feral ghoulism. This revelation completely upends a large portion of the lore we already know about the ghouls and how they become the flesh-eating zombies we often encounter in our travels. However, what exactly is this substance and who created it? Cooper seems to have a readily available supply of the stuff, up until he meets Lucy anyways, and is even being buried with IVs feeding him a constant drip. But how exactly does it work? These meds have somehow kept Cooper from going feral for over 200 years, but only kept Raj going for a couple of decades. So, does it affect some differently than others? Hopefully this is something that will be further expanded upon in the next season, because we have all the questions.
You don't get these. You turn into one of those? That how it works?
The truth of Vault 31.
Okay. I think it's safe to say they went bananas.
In the finale, we discover the truth about the trio of vaults 31, 32, and 33. But it seems the residents of Vault 32 learned the truth years ago. However, this raises questions about how they discovered the truth and why this revelation seemingly led to them killing one another. We finally learn that Vault 31 houses Bud's Buds, a program designed to have cryogenically frozen Vault Tech executives oversee the operations of the vaults and the eventual Reclamation Day. While this would understandably cause tension within the vault itself, why did this lead to the mass destruction and violence Norm and Chet discovered? And why did no one from Vault 32 try to contact Vault 33 with this shocking knowledge? Maybe Norm's time with Bud's brain will reveal some answers in the upcoming season.
So what's Vault 32 and 33? Just people to be controlled?
What? Oh, when you put it like that, sounds downright morally questionable.
Norm's fate.
What are you?
Initiate Protocol 53. Alright, just hold still.
As Lucy explored the wasteland and learned its customs and practices, Norm remained our man on the inside, as he slowly began to unravel the mysteries and corruptions of the three vaults, 31, 32, and 33. After managing to work his way into Vault 31, many of Norm's questions were answered, but unfortunately, the vault's caretaker, Brain in a Jar Bud, trapped him inside and told him the only possible way he would survive would be to be cryogenically frozen in his dad's old pod. While Norm's fate is left ambiguous by the season's end, it doesn't seem like he had many options available, and with Lucy still on a quest to track down her dad, the only person who would really even notice Norm is missing is Chet. And given his cowardice towards basically everything, we're just as afraid for Norm's fate as he is.
That's why I'd suggest you wait it out in your dad's pod. Unless you want to starve to death, not much food in here except the occasional very large bug. I'd certainly put myself to sleep if I could.
Moldaver.
But first, what if I tell you how I know your father? Who he really is?
Arguably one of the most shocking reveals was that the presumed main antagonist of the series, Moldaver, not only wasn't the big bad, but much like Cooper, she was from a time just before the bombs fell. In fact, she had worked for Vault Tech in some capacity and had even tipped Cooper off to the nefariousness of the company. However, this reveal only raised further questions. How did Moldaver seemingly survive for over 200 years? And not only that, but how did she seemingly become the founder of Shady Sands, as well as gain enough resources to build a small army to reclaim her lost research? Assuming Moldaver isn't a ghoul since a single gunshot killed her, we can only presume she was frozen too. But by who and how did she get resurrected? Since it was Moldaver's research that led to the beginning of everyone's journey, hopefully Season 2 will provide much needed answers.
You look like your mother.
Cooper's family.
Now, I've waited over 200 years to ask somebody one question. Where's my family?
During the finale, we discover that Cooper believes his wife and daughter are still out there, possibly in a vault, and that Hank might have the answers he's looking for. But given that we see Cooper race down the mountain with his daughter as the bombs drop at the beginning of the series, how did they become separated and why would Hank know her whereabouts? With Cooper's wife Barb seemingly at the head of all the tragedy that befell the world, how is it that little Janie ended up with Barb, again most likely in a vault somewhere, without Cooper? Given Cooper's family was all but presumed dead throughout the entire series up to the finale, this revelation only raises further questions about the last 200 years of Cooper's history.
It guarantees us a spot in the vault.
We've got money. We can buy a spot in the vault.
One of the good vaults.
What's that supposed to mean?
Who oversees Vault Tech?
You want to know how I know your daddy, don't you? Let's just say that everything about your whole little world was decided over 200 years ago.
Vault Tech has always been a reprehensible company since the earliest days of the Fallout lore, using the vaults to experiment on their unsuspecting inhabitants. But the Fallout series implies they might be even worse than we imagined. However, despite the world carrying on for over 200 years after the Great War, someone seems to still be giving out orders to the various management arms of the vaults. After Cooper allows Hank to escape, Hank retreats into the desert and the outskirts of New Vegas, presumably, as Cooper suspected, running back to his boss. But who is left in charge of Vault Tech? Bud is a brain in a jar, so the most obvious candidate would be Barb, Cooper's wife, and the one who suggested Vault Tech initiate the end of the world. But what would such a reveal mean for Cooper and the Wasteland? Or even worse, could it be his daughter Janie who is now calling the shots?
But there's always somebody behind the wheel. And that's who I want to talk to.
Cooper the Ghoul.
I wonder if they fix that in this new model. I guess not.
Roaming the waste since the day the bombs dropped, Cooper has quite the reputation in the Wasteland and has become a well-respected bounty hunter. However, throughout the series' many flashbacks, we see that Cooper used to be a Hollywood legend and the poster boy for Vault Tech itself. Cooper always had principles when it came to excessive violence with the characters he played, but when we first meet him, he has no such reservations. We also see in the finale how he became disillusioned with the company, and he was somehow out in the open with his daughter when the bombs fell. But how did Cooper become a ghoul, and what made him so cold to the rest of the world and its survivors? Cooper is by far the most interesting character in the series so far, but even with a chunk of his backstory fleshed out, he's also one of the most mysterious.
Now that right there is the closest thing we've had to an honest exchange so far.
Cold fusion.
What you brought me is cold fusion. It's limitless energy. And we can build
She's a murderer.
our own world.
The MacGuffin of Season 1, everyone was after what was in Wilzig's head, and it ended up being a completed prototype of Moldaver's cold fusion research made real. Given the Brotherhood's mantra for suppressing technology, they most likely would rather have the artifact be hidden away from the Wasteland. But how long can even the Brotherhood resist that kind of power? Moldaver knew the potential for this technology, and with her dying breath left her life's work in Maximus's hands. Considering his faith in the Brotherhood seems to be faltering due to his exploration of the Wasteland with Lucy, he might very well go from the Brotherhood's greatest hero to its greatest enemy. This isn't even mentioning the fact that many other factions of the Wasteland, including Vault Tech, are most likely still in the hunt for this tech, so it's only a matter of time before a new war for the Wasteland begins.
War never changes. You look out at this wasteland, looks like chaos.
What were the biggest questions you had after the season finale? Share your theories down in the comments.
I hate it up here.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.